Yo, what is up everybody? Jump in here, and I am back on Diablo 3 with another build video. Today it is going to be my level 60 Barbarian build. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so let me go ahead and get started with my skills. I call this build Hammer Spam, where you pretty much build up a lot of fury and you spam your Hammer of the Ancients. Now, I know a really popular build is Whirlwind. I see people using it all the time, and I know a lot of people come up with different Whirlwind builds, and they're very effective. But for some reason, I've always liked Hammer of the Ancients. I've been using it forever, ever since I started this guy. If you go back and you watch my early live streams before I even hit level 60, I was using Cleave, I was using Hammer of the Ancients, and I was always having a blast. So this is pretty much the way I like to play with it. But if you prefer Whirlwind, by all means, use it. Now, my primary attack here is Cleave. I definitely like Cleave. Bash is also really good. The downside to Bash is that Bash is pretty much a single target ability, but you do a lot of damage to that one target. So it's definitely better when it comes down to fighting bosses and stuff like that. Where Cleave is really good because you can hit multiple enemies in a horizontal like slash. And if you hit like 3 enemies, you're going to generate a lot more fury that way. If you go for Reaping Swing, you will generate 8 fury for every enemy hit. So that is definitely really good when you're talking about hitting 2 or 3 enemies at a time. And the point of building up your fury is so that you can spam your Hammer of the Ancients. Definitely love this ability. One thing that some people might not know if you don't have your advanced tooltips on is that for every 5 fury that you have built up, you get a 1% critical hit chance for this hammer. If you already have a decent critical hit chance, you will probably hit a critical hit with your Hammer of the Ancients almost every single time. Now, I go for Smash. It has a smaller radius, but it does a lot more damage. This thing crits in the millions. It's very consistent. You will always hit like 2 million or 2.5 million. It is really good. The way I kind of look at it is that I like to use Cleave to hit multiple targets, and then if I come across like that one target I want to kill really quickly, I just spam my hammer at him and he dies. So that's pretty much the point. Now for my X move, I'm using Leap. This is optional. It really comes down to what you prefer. I really like Leap though. It has a 5-second cooldown, and if you go for Death from Above, you can stun the target for 3 seconds. So basically every 5 seconds you can stun one target or multiple targets if you hit multiple enemies for 3 seconds. I think that's really good. It generates 15 fury, and like I said, it actually does have a radius, so you can hit like 3 enemies with it potentially. Really like Leap. It also gives you some options for getting away from trouble if there's lava, ice, an explosion, arcane beams. Like there's just a lot of versatility with Leap, and I really like Leap because of that. For my Y move, I'm using Battle Rage. I think that you should always use this. It's just too good. If you go for the very first passive, you will pretty much get 45% more damage. That is insane. You also get a 3% critical hit chance, which is really good, but I kind of don't think about that most of the time. But Battle Rage is absolutely amazing. Now for my B move, this is really optional. I really like the ability Ground Stomp. I think it's amazing. You can stun like every target in a certain radius, and they are stunned for like 4 seconds. And generally I used to always use that. But recently, because of playing Master 5 and running into a lot of enemies that have reflect damage, I kind of prefer Ren now. The reason why is because this ability, if you don't know what it does bleed damage. It does a decent amount of damage over time. It's nothing like fantastic. But if you go for Bloodlust, you gain 9% of that damage done to your life. So this just regenerates so much health. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. You come across like reflect damage enemies, you hit them with Ren, then you're going to regen a lot of your health, and you should be able to kill them. There's another really good ability you could go for besides Ground Stomp. Ground Stomp is another one I would maybe recommend if you want to try that. But I also like Ignore Pain, because what this does is that it reduces all damage done to you by 65%, and I think there's a passive here which can increase the duration to 7 seconds. If you reduce that much damage for 7 seconds, you should be able to take on most elites with reflect damage and not die. So I definitely do like Ignore Pain. I think it's pretty good. So for my B move, like I said, I recommend Rin, maybe Ground Stomp, Ignore Pain. You can even put Whirlwind on this if you really want to. It's totally up to you. Now for my RB move, I go for Wrath of the Berserker. This thing is really amazing. I call it Super Saiyan mode because you get the long hair, you get ginormous, and I think you look like a Super Saiyan. But oh man, you will do so much damage with this. What you get is you get 10% critical hit chance, you get 25% attack speed, you get 20% dodge chance, and 20% movement speed. And if you go for the second passive, you get 100% more damage. So that is what I like to use it for. Unfortunately, it only lasts for about 15 seconds, and it does have a 120 cooldown. That's the biggest bummer of Wrath of the Berserker. But the way I like to use it is against bosses and elite enemies. When I come across elite enemies, if I can use Wrath of the Berserker, they are going to die so fast, it's ridiculous. So, definitely highly recommend using Wrath of the Berserker just so that you can use it against those types of enemies. Now for my passives, I go for Ruthless. I love this ability. 5% critical hit chance and 50% critical hit damage. Because of the hammer pretty much always hitting crits, I would definitely recommend trying to make your crit hit damage really high, and Ruthless is an amazing passive. Now for my second passive, I go for Weapons Master. I really like it. Now one thing about this though, the only weapon that will get the buff is your main hand. There's a Demon Hunter ability just like this, and it's the same thing. It has to be your main hand. So because I'm using an Echoing Fury on my main hand, I get the Mace bonus. And the Mace bonus is really good. 10% critical hit chance. If you were using a sword or a dagger, you would have 15% more damage. So either one of those two I think are really good, but I definitely love the critical hit chance. Now for my final passive, I'm using Bloodthirst. I love this ability just because it's 3% all damage done is dealt to life. So, I mean, there you go. With the hammer, if that thing is critting in the millions, then you're going to be getting 3% of that, and that's a lot of health. And it also works well with Rin if you use that, because with Rin, you get the 9%. With this, you get 12%. Definitely love Bloodthirst. Alright guys, so let me go ahead and now show you some of my gear. And then eventually I'll show you a little bit of gameplay so you can get a general idea on how I like to play this build. But for my main weapon, I'm using an Echoing Fury. I personally think that the Echoing Fury is definitely one of the best weapons in this game. And it's also one of the best weapons for the Barbarian. Remember, because it's a mace, it does get the benefit from the Weapons Master passive. So I get 10% critical hit chance when I have this weapon equipped. So I really like that. Now, another thing about the Echoing Fury is that I don't know who designed this weapon, but whoever it was kind of a douchebag, because it's such a good weapon, but because it has the chance to fear on hit, that can get super annoying. You know, you hit them, they run away, it's kind of bullshit, but the Echoing Fury is definitely an amazing weapon, so I would definitely recommend using it if you can get your hands on one. For my other weapon, I'm using a Balcastro's Warrior's Blood. I love the Warrior's Blood, but I am looking for a Bone Saber, one that has strength and a socket. If any of you guys have a Bone Saber like that, I would definitely be willing to trade for it. I would give you anything for that weapon because I really, really want it. But the Warrior's Blood is a really good weapon too. It comes with crit hit damage on it. If you can get one with a socket, you can get a massive amount of crit hit damage. It also comes with damage to elite enemies, so that's really good. Now for my gloves, I'm using the Immortal King's Irons. I definitely think that these are the best gloves for the Barbarian. Now generally I like to use the Sage's gloves for like almost every single one of my other builds, but the Immortal Kings are just so good. They come with so much strength, critical hit damage, critical hit chance. These gloves are amazing. For my shoulders, I'm using 7 Sins. If you can craft yourself one with like 500 strength, a decent amount of vitality, and some life percentage, you have yourself a very good 7 Sins. For my chest piece, I'm using the Immortal King. I really like this. It gives you a lot of strength, vitality, resist all. You can get the set bonus with the gloves and the chest. And the set bonus is 60 resist all elements. That's really nice. Now for my helmet, I'm using a Mimpo of Twilight. Another good helmet would be probably, maybe the Immortal King would be okay, but the Mimpo is definitely super amazing. It makes you look like a samurai, so I like that. It gives you strength if you can get a strength one, resist all elements, attack speed, life percentage, and if you're lucky, you can get one with critical hit chance. For my necklace, I'm using an Ouroboros. I definitely like this one. It comes with base damage, strength, vitality, crit hit damage, crit hit chance. It's a really good Ouroboros. For my bracers, I'm using some Prowlers. I have actually 2 sets here, and I kind of switch them from time to time. The set I have on now gives me more strength. It also gives me intelligence. And if you don't know, intelligence will increase your resistance. So that is actually really nice. But this other set of Prowlers I have here, it gives me less strength, but it does give me vitality. And I really like that because health is always kind of important. You don't really want to die a lot. And, you know, you kind of have to balance it out. Do you want more damage? Do you want more health? I kind of like try to mix it up so I have a decent amount of health and a decent amount of damage. So it's really up to you what you want to use. For my rings, I'm using a Hellfire ring. I got really lucky when I made this ring. It has base damage, strength, vitality, crit hit damage, and crit hit chance. So this Hellfire ring was really good when I made it. For my other ring, I'm using a Unity ring. This thing comes with base hit damage, strength, crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and damage to elite enemies. So that actually stacks with this Warrior's Blood. That's 31%. That's really good. For my boots, I'm using some Ice Climbers. I also like the Anglers. They can be really good. But the Ice Climbers will give you a decent amount of strength, vitality, resist all elements, life percentage, less damage from ice attacks. So I really like the Ice Climbers. For my pants, I'm using some Innas. You will always see me use Innas. I think that these are the best pants in the game just because of the attack speed. But I kind of got lucky and I got me a pair that actually comes with base strength on it. If you can find a pair that has like the base attribute you're looking for, it actually works out for you because with the 2 sockets in there, or the 2 rubies that is, I get 250 strength. So that's pretty good. And finally, for my belt, I'm using a Pride belt. I really like this belt. It comes with strength, attack speed, crit hit damage, a little bit of crit hit chance, movement speed. It's a really good belt. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you some gameplay so you can get a general idea on how I like to play this guy. Alright guys, so now I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of gameplay with my hammer spam build on Inferno Master 5. Now this build is pretty simple to play. Primarily all you really want to do is just build up Fury, always make sure you have your Battle Rage on, and then you kind of just spam your hammer. Now right here, I'm going to go into Wrath of the Berserker, and if you get a look at my attack, when I'm fully buffed, it's 2.5 million. It's absolutely insane, and watch how fast I'm going to kill these elites. Oh my god. But yeah, that's pretty much the purpose of Wrath of the Berserker. That's how I like to use it, is against elites, and also against bosses. The way I kind of view it is that if I'm lucky, I might run across a group of elites or something. I'll go into Wrath of the Berserker, I'll kill them really quickly, and then by the time that it recharges, hopefully that's when I'm going to see my next set of elites. Sometimes you get unlucky, and right there I did, because I killed a group of elites, went down the stairs, and there was another group of elites. So that sucks when that happens, but in general, Wrath of the Berserker is just so useful because the main enemies that will kill you will be elites, champions, bosses, things like that. Every small enemy, I wouldn't worry too much. Because I'm using Rin, and that's the way I kind of like to use it, is against things that have reflect damage. And speaking of which, these enemies right here, they have reflect damage. So, the thing is this. I have some decent life convert just from Bloodthirst, but if I have the Ren going and I'm fighting enemies that reflect damage, there's just really no way that I can kill myself. The best thing about Ren is that because it does a spin attack, you can hit like 4 or 5 enemies with that, and the Ren bleed damage will actually count for all of them, and the health convert will count for all of them. So that's a lot of health you can be getting back. So I definitely do recommend Ren because it makes you pretty much unkillable. If you're playing on a lower difficulty like Master 1, 2, or 3, I would say that you might not need it, but for Master 5 I definitely like it because I hate killing myself with reflect damage. But in general, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's a very simple build to play. You can use Leap to get out of trouble. You can use Leap to stun enemies. And generally, you're just going to be using your cleave attack to build up Fury and to do some damage to a whole bunch of enemies. And then the hammer itself is really meant for single targets. You can hit more than one enemy with it, but generally it's just going to be single targets. Alright guys, well that's pretty much it. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, will you please like it for me and also favorite it. You can also tell your friends about my channel because I will continue to upload Diablo 3 content. I'm having a blast with this game and I really do enjoy making these videos. So let me know what you want to see for the next build video and I will definitely get that out. You can also hit me up on Xbox Live if you want to play sometime. My gamertag is iJumpinI, so keep that in mind. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have a nice day and peace out.